Thank you, Dennis Buck, for that wonderful song. And also I want to thank John and Jai, who will also be with us today for music. Welcome to this Unity Center of New York City live stream service. We're so happy that you're with us this morning. And we have a great service for you. And the message today is take up your bed and walk. So, well, you've gotten out of your bed this morning and you're watching. So, hey, that's a good start, right? We all did that. So we're going to do a little singing here. And we're going to sing He's Got the Whole World in His Hands, led by John and Jai.
This one you will definitely recognize. There will be 5 verses. The 5th verse is a repeat of the first verse, so it's really easy. And you can even clap along with us. He's got the whole world in his hands. 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 He's got the wind and the rain in his hands. He's got the wind and the rain in his hands. He's got the wind and the rain in his hands. He's got the whole world in his hands. He's got riches and abundance in his hands. He's got riches and abundance in his hands. He's got riches and abundance in his hands. He's got the whole world in his hands. He's got the world of peace and harmony in his hands. He's got a world of peace and harmony in his hands. He's got a world of peace and harmony in his hands. He's got the whole world 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 in his hands. Woo! Good job.
Thank you, John and Jai. That was a good energizing song to get us going here. I have a few community highlights for you. First of all, Please follow us on Facebook. This will help us reach more people. And also, you'll be able to watch the latest Sunday service there on Facebook. And every Friday, you can schedule a reminder for the coming Sunday service. We also go live 3 times during the week, Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. And you'll be notified when I'm going live. Also, on the Facebook homepage, you can click the Learn More button, and that'll take you to our website, as well as the donation link there if you want to do it that way. On YouTube, you can access a whole library of inspirational videos. All you have to do is go to the Justin Epstein YouTube channel and subscribe, and you'll have access to all the past live streaming services we've done, as well as videos. You can also watch the live stream on the UnityCenterNYC.com website. We're there live every Sunday at 11 a.m. And you can also be kept up to date on things that are happening with the center through our newsletter. All you have to do is put your email in there at the website, UnityCenterNYC.com, and you'll begin to receive weekly reminders about the live stream and other events during the week. If you miss the live stream or any of the videos we post throughout the week, we're making them all available on the Facebook page and on YouTube through the New York Pause. So we hope you can enjoy some of these meditations and mindful moments and live stream services. All right, we're going to now take a moment to bless our tithes and donations. This is our prosperity celebration. We celebrate the good that's in our lives, and we understand that spiritual principle taught by Jesus that as you give, you receive, and that it's an actual spiritual principle. And we know that you have many places that you give in your life and that you can give, and we appreciate remembering us. Thank you for remembering this ministry so that we can continue to bring a very positive, healing message to you and to the world. So we're going to take a moment now to bless those gifts. So I invite you to join me in knowing that divine love flowing through me blesses and increases all that I give and all that I receive. Together, divine love flowing through me blesses and increases all that I give and all that I receive. And so it is. Amen. We're going to now sing God You Are. And, you know, as far as the donation, you can look in the comments section and they'll guide you in how to make a donation. And you can open another window so you don't have to miss anything during the service while you do that, or just wait till the end. But we appreciate your support. So we're going to sing God You Are, and you can stand and sing it with me. It's sort of repetitive verses to help focus our mind and prepare us for a guided meditation, a time to go within and connect with the source.
Please join me as we sing God You Are. God you are, every mountain, God you are, every ocean, God you are, every star shine, every inch of earth and sky, God you are, every morning, God you are, every midnight, God you are, every moment, every second of my life. Everything I see, everything I do, everything I am is you. Everything above, everything below, everything I know is you. God you are, every sunrise, God you are, every moon glow, God you are, every star shine, every inch of earth and sky, God you snowfall. God, you are every season, every second of my life. Everything I see, everything I do, everything I am is you. Everything above, everything below, everything I know is you. Everything I see, everything I do, everything I am is you. Everything above, everything below, everything I know is you.
All right, let's sit upright now wherever we are sitting, and let's take a nice long deep breath and exhale, letting your body relax and sending the message to every muscle, relax and let go. Becoming aware of your feet and your calves, and just send the thought to those parts of your body, relax, relax. Relaxing your thighs, relaxing your abdomen and stomach, the pelvic area, the buttocks, letting your hands be relaxed, your arms and shoulders, your back and your chest, relaxing the neck, the front and the back, and the sides. Letting go of unnecessary tensions held in the body. Relaxing and letting go. Relaxing from the top of your head to the bottoms of your feet. Relaxing the muscles in the face, your cheeks, your eyes, your forehead, your whole face. And now scanning your body and seeing, is there still any place that needs to relax, that needs to let go? You might want to just gently tense and relax that part of your body. Good. You are created in the image and after the likeness of God, which means that you are a spiritual being, first and foremost. You are a spiritual being having a human experience. As a spiritual being, you are spirit expressing as you. And in spirit, there is just life. God's life expressing as you. Your nature is wholeness and life. It's through this interconnection with Source that you have access to peace that calms your heart, peace that enables healing to take place in your body. Charles Fillmore said that peace precedes healing. Peace is not something that comes from the outside in, but is your very nature as a spiritual being. As your mind becomes calm and your body becomes relaxed, you begin to experience the peace that is there. Imagine light filling your heart, and it's the light of peace. See that light filling your heart and radiating forth to your whole body, filling all the organs of your body with peace and healing and life. See that light filling your brain and radiating forth from within you. Sense the light of this peace and healing and life radiating within you. You are a spiritual being, whole and complete. And God's healing life is restoring every organ and function of your body to wholeness and perfection. And know for yourself, I am life. Identify with the truth of your spiritual essence, of God life expressing as you. I am life. Hold that thought now in the quiet and wait in the stillness to feel some expression of spirit within you. Hold the idea, I am life. And we're grateful for this life and for this healing of our mind, of our emotions, of our body. And we remember our friends and family, and we see them as radiant beings of life and healing and wholeness. We include all those names who've been submitted to Unity for prayer, and we know the same for each one of them. Each one is an expression of God, of spirit, of wholeness. And we pray this prayer for every person on the planet. Every person. God's healing life is flowing through and as them, as peace, as love, as light, as joy, as healing, as all good. And this is our prayer for all people everywhere. And now we let it be so. We release them and we trust Spirit's activity working in them. And we bring our awareness now back to the body, back to this room, wiggling toes, wiggling fingers to help us get back in touch with our body and with the present moment. And we are so very grateful. Amen.
The words I have to say may well be simple, but they're true.
Have your eyes really seen?
You say it's very hard to leave behind the life you knew. But there's no other way, and now it's really up to you.
Love is the key we must turn. Truth is the flame we must burn. Freedom the lesson we must learn. Do you know what I mean? Have your eyes really seen? Do you know what I mean? Have your eyes really seen?
Thank you.
In the book of John, chapter 5, it talks about a lame man who is laying by the pool of Bethesda, called Bethesda. It's located in Jerusalem. And the scripture says that there lay a crowd of sick people, blind, lame, and paralyzed. For the tradition was that an angel came down into the pool from time to time and stirred the water. And the first to plunge in after the disturbance would be healed. And among them was a man who had been crippled for 38 years. Jesus saw him lying there, aware that he'd been ill for a long time, and he asked the man, "Do you want to recover?" "Sir," replied the man, "I have no one to put me in the pool when the water is disturbed. Someone always gets in before me." And Jesus said, "Rise to your feet, take up your bed and walk." And the man did and recovered instantly. Now, that story, we're not saying that that story literally happened or historically happened. It may or it may not have. However, regardless, there's a very important message in that story. Just think about it. That man had been lying there for 38 years. And he had been sick all that time. And his reason was that he could never get into that healing pool. Was he that slow of a walker? Were people that self-centered that they wouldn't help this poor old man or whatever age he was get into that healing pool? No, I don't think so. That man really, really didn't want to get into that pool. He was receiving benefits from not being in that pool, from not getting healed. You know, he was receiving what Carolyn Mays, the writer, talks about woundology, people who use their wounds for attention, use their wounds for power, you know, so therefore they never get well. They are getting too much leverage out of their ailment. Dr. Leslie Weatherhead, in his interesting book, Psychology, Religion, and Healing, he comments upon this story. He says, disease is often, if unconsciously, an escape mechanism. And that's true, isn't it? It's often an escape mechanism. Oftentimes people who don't feel appreciated, they don't feel important, they don't feel like they have a purpose in life anymore, will find an escape through illness. And sometimes they'll find an escape through dying. He goes on, "It is incredible that for 38 years, the patient was incapable of getting himself into the moving waters if he had seriously wanted to try this treatment. It is possible that he found it more interesting and more profitable to remain in the spotlight of attention in the receipt of sympathy and alms, and to maintain his illness for these reasons than to be cured and thus to be uninteresting and compelled to earn a living or starve." No one will help me into the waters. He had excuses and excuses. And we see people with excuses, people who have these challenges, and you ask them, well, what are you doing? What are you doing about that challenge? Oh, well, I can't do it. The mother who is too busy, if I keep working like this, I'm going to be a nervous wreck. Well, why don't you take some time off? Oh, but I can't. They need me. The person who's unhappy in their job and well, why don't you try to find something different? But oh, I can't because of the benefits and blah, blah, blah. Or just reasons and excuses. And in these days, it's very challenging, and it's easy to come up with reasons why we're not moving forward with our life, and they're understandable, some of them, but we've got to make sure that our reasons are really true and accurate for us. Otherwise, we could be holding ourselves to unnecessary limitations. We might be holding ourselves with excuses that are just excuses. They're not really the truth about why we're not moving forward with our life. This man had been there 38 years. He was enjoying it. He was getting benefits out of that. As Dr. Phil says, what's it doing for you? What's the payback you're getting out of it? And that's a good question. That's a very good question, because a lot of people are getting paybacks out of staying stuck. We've got to be careful. It's easy to do that. And I believe one of the messages of this living parable is that we've got to be clear that, yes, I'm ready to be well. This man finally was ready to be well. He was finally ready. As we've heard the saying, when someone's sick and tired of being sick and tired, then they're ready to get well. This man was sick and tired of being sick and tired. He was tired of the praise and the attention, which probably was, poor guy and whatever other attention. He was tired of that. He was ready to get well. And so Jesus sensed his readiness. That's why Jesus stopped by him to be a positive influence. I mean, Jesus didn't stop for everybody. There were other people who were sick. There were other people who had problems and challenges. He didn't stop for them, but he sensed a readiness of this person to finally get over his challenge. And that's important. Will, the desire to be whole, the desire to be well, that's critical in getting well in any way. I know of a doctor who had lots of patients, and he was very critically sick. They thought he was going to die, but he was like, I can't die. I've got patients I got to help. As we mentioned, one of the things that people, they lose their sense of purpose, or they don't feel appreciated, and they give up and they get sick, and that's the way they get their attention, or they leave the planet. I'm not saying everybody does that, but that happens a lot. So the desire to be well, Jesus sensed that in this man. Now, here's a very important point, and one that the late Eric Butterworth made, and that is, health is within. And Jesus didn't heal the man. Jesus didn't heal the man. The man healed himself. That's where healing comes from. That's where health comes from. It comes from within us. It doesn't come from drugs. It doesn't come from a vaccine. It doesn't come from doctors. It doesn't come from hospitals. All those things are helpful and important, but what those do is they support the activation of the life force of the health that's within. It comes from within. And that's what we need to know. Jesus didn't heal that man. His positive energy, his positive influence helped that man heal himself. Helped that man get in touch with his own health. When that man decided, I am sick and tired of being sick and tired, I want to be well. When that man decided, I'm ready to get up and walk, Jesus sensed it. And he said, okay, take up your mat and walk. And the man walked. But it happened inside of him. We know of people who get treated in hospitals or by doctors and serious stuff who there's no reason that they should die, and they end up dying. You know, some of this is mysteries. I know that. But what I'm trying to say here is let's look inside of ourselves and see, where is my attitude? Where am I coming from? Do I want to succeed? Do I want to be healed? Do I want to get better? Or am I making some kind of excuses? Some of you know the story about Myrtle Fillmore, who had tuberculosis. She was diagnosed with tuberculosis and given 6 months to live. Well, tuberculosis was in her family. Her grandparents had it, other relatives have had it. They died from it, and they expected her to die from it. She was treated different from other kids. She couldn't go out and play like other kids, and consequently, she read a lot, which was very handy because later on she became a great teacher. But she had an inner realization. I'm a child of God, and therefore I do not inherit sickness. That realization told her that she was created in the image of God, and in God there is no sickness, and that she was a child of God first, and that she didn't have to experience the sickness that her family had experienced, that it wasn't all about DNA. She was a spiritual being first and foremost. Therefore, she did not have to die of tuberculosis. And she started to look also within herself to see, what are some of my faults that are contributing to my sickness? And she started to work to let go of some of those faults. And through the combination of that realization and her spiritual practices, she got well. She lived another 40 years, very active person who influenced many people. See, she had let go of the belief, no one will help me into the waters. She had let go of the belief that just because her family had had it, she had to have it. She let go of the belief that you're going to die from this. No, she let go of, if someone would only help me into the waters, and she said, I'm a child of God. And she wanted to live. She had reasons to live. She wanted to make a difference. She loved life, and that's important. That's very important. She had positive expectations and beliefs. I'm sure you've heard about placebo effect, right? Well, there's a lot of research that's been done on the power of the placebo effect. And For instance, in July 2002 in the New England Journal of Medicine, they published a landmark study demonstrating the impact of the placebo on pain in the musculoskeletal malady. Researchers at Baylor College of Medicine in Houston did an experiment demonstrating the placebo effect. Now, the placebo effect is where some patients are given the real medicine and some are given a placebo, like saline solution, which is water with salt. It's not the real medicine. And then they see what effect it has on the person. Well, in this study with researchers at Baylor College, what they did was it had to do with arthritis in the knee. When you use your body, wear and tear happens. And some people get arthritis in their knee, so it's so bad, the bone starts rubbing together and it's uncomfortable and painful. And some people can't run, they can't exercise. And it gets so bad for some people they can't even walk. And I know some of you watching and listening have had the surgery done. And so they took 180 people with this arthritis in the knees who needed this special surgery. And they divided them up into groups. And one of the groups received the placebo. Instead of getting the actual surgery, they got a fake surgery, but they didn't know it. So, the doctors went through their same routine with all the patients, including those receiving the placebo. They had all the nurses and they went through the whole procedure. It took just as long with the placebo people as the other ones. And after the surgery was done, they also did the therapy and had drugs to alleviate the pain and all that stuff. When all the placebo patients received was some saline. They didn't even, there was no surgery done, They made it sound like they were doing the same surgery with saline water, washing out the joint and all that stuff, but it wasn't the real surgery. They didn't actually do the surgery. They made some incisions around the knee so it looked like they were doing that something had been done. They manipulated the knee and so on. So the patient thought that something was being done, but it wasn't. And the amazing thing is that the people who had the actual surgery, they had less pain and they had more mobility in the knee. And guess what? So did the placebo patients who did not actually have the surgery. And when this study was released on the television, they showed an older man playing basketball with his grandchildren for the first time in years, and all he had received was a placebo, a sham surgery. Wow! The power of their belief and expectation affected the hormones in their body, which helped to relieve the pain. Isn't that amazing? Now, I'm not suggesting that we just have faith and not get surgery. I'm not suggesting that this is going to work all the time. It really, what I'm suggesting is that it would help us to let go of certain attitudes that we carry around that are causing us to be stuck, that are causing us to remain where we are, that we need to take up our bed and walk. We need to let go of that identification with the sickness or the financial problem or challenge or the relationship issue or some characteristic of our personal makeup, whether it's some kind of addiction or weakness or habit pattern. Like that man by the pool, he had this excuse that he was giving himself all these years, or this belief that he had. And what I'm suggesting is, let's take our positive, powerful beliefs and expectations and begin to see ourselves as we really are, spiritual beings, as Myrtle Fillmore recognized. I'm a child of God. I do not inherit sickness. I'm a child of God. I do not inherit whatever the problem is we want to put there. We don't have to accept it in our consciousness, and that's very important. These placebo effects have been done with back pain, with Parkinson's disease, with people with asthma. They have tested these things with different ways, and they saw that patients got the same results. For instance, with back pain, they might actually give them a shot and relieve the pain, and then, give them a shot again, relieve the pain, and then give them a placebo, and their pain goes away. So there is power to our faith, our beliefs, our thoughts. But again, I'm not saying throw out the surgery or going to a doctor. That depends on where our consciousness is. A wise spiritual sage once said, look, don't go out and stand between a lion and cattle, trying to protect the cattle or somebody else, because if you don't have the consciousness, you'll end up in the stomach of the lion. See, you got to have the consciousness. And if we have fear about surgery or not having surgery, or fear about not doing something that's good for us, then we probably need to do it. It depends on where our faith is. But what we're saying is, generally speaking, let's try to not make excuses, but begin to see ourselves as the child of God that we are, as the spiritual being that we are. We're created in the image and likeness of God. We are created whole and complete. We have access to this infinite source within us of peace, of joy, of power, of life. And that's what does it for us. He said that, it's not a matter of convincing God to heal us. Our faith doesn't do that. Our faith opens up the life force and the energy that's inside of us. See, God doesn't heal us. God doesn't heal us. What happens is we become receptive to the life that's always within us. That's why your belief and your willpower and your desire to be healed or to accomplish anything is so important, because it begins to release that power that's always inside of you. Now, I don't want you going away and saying, boy, that guy at Unity doesn't believe that in healing or that God heals. Not exactly. It's like a dark room. If the room is dark and you open the windows and let the light in, you could say, well, the light healed the darkness, right? That light is healing. It healed the darkness. You could say that. But really what happened is you open up the window shades. You let the light in. God is life. God is healing. That life is inside of us. And we need to lift up the shades and let the light in. Let the healing happen. Not try to convince God to heal us. And that's where the power of our belief and our expectations comes in. That man was laying by that pool. He needed to get right within himself to where he's like, look, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. Jesus sensed his readiness, said, all right, take up your mat and walk. And the man said, okay. And he did. He released healing from within himself. He had made a decision. He had made up his mind that he was sick and tired of being sick and tired. And he started to move forward with his life. And you and I can do the same thing. Solomon, many years ago, said, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. So is he. You're in the image and likeness of God, and you have it within you to move forward. What's holding you back? What is the challenge that you're facing right now? What are some of the reasons that maybe you've been living with? What are some of the beliefs that you've accepted? Consider re-looking at those, reanalyzing them, asking, is this really true? How is this benefiting me to to remain stuck here? If I move forward, what would be the rewards of me moving forward? What would be the benefit of me getting better? You know, that man by the pool, he realized he was tired of the benefits he was getting by staying stuck, by staying sick. It was no longer rewarding. It was now weird. It was strange. He was realizing, I don't want to be here anymore. So how can moving forward in your life, in whatever area it is that you want to move forward in, try to find how it would benefit you, how it would be rewarding for you, how it would be your new normal, how it would be something good for you, and be a blessing to others. Dr. Jerome Groopman was a very active person, had a couple kids, a wife, he loved to run. He was training for the Boston Marathon. And one day when he was getting ready to train, all of a sudden he had excruciating pain in his back. He thought maybe it was a ruptured disc or something. So he went to a doctor, and the doctor looked at him and said, no, it's not a ruptured disc. There was something much more serious going on, according to this doctor. And the doctor said, but I can take care of it. I can fuse it together and you'll be able to run again. Well, Dr. Groopman was so enthralled by the possibility of running again that he didn't consider what this doctor was telling him enough. And what happened was he woke up from the surgery and he couldn't move his legs. And he was in excruciating pain. He went home in an iron cast from the waist down. And it took a long time to where he could even just walk again, and he was in pain, and he had to be very careful with what he did. He couldn't throw a ball with his children because he was afraid of activating that tremendous pain. He was just so much more limited. He couldn't exercise. He could only walk a block or so before he got tired because of this condition. He lived with this condition for 2 decades. Now, this man who had been giving patients hope and had even researched hope and was fascinated by hope and wrote a book on it later on, he had lost hope. He had lost his own hope. And one day, his friend convinced him to go get a massage with this special massage therapist, and he did. And he said, hours later, I was in excruciating pain. My body reacted with such pain. And it was excruciating, and it went on and on and on for days. Finally, he learned about a doctor. He was talking to a friend, and the friend said, hey, what about going to the New England Baptist Hospital? There's a doctor there who specializes in rehabilitation, medicine, Dr. James Rainville. And that hospital has worked with the Boston Celtic Larry Bird. You remember Larry Bird, the great basketball player? He had back issues. He went there, and next thing you know, he was back on the court. So Dr. Groopman was suspicious. He was doubtful. He didn't have much hope, but he was in pain. So he went to this special hospital in Boston. And when he went in, this Dr. Rainville said, tell me your story. Right from the beginning, he listened to Groopman tell him his story. And then he took x-rays or tests to see how his back was and how the spine was and so on. And he came back in to Groopman and he said, you are worshiping the volcano god of pain. You have sacrificed everything to this volcano god of pain. He basically told him, ignore the pain. Quit worshiping and sacrificing your life to this pain. It's not going to hurt your body if you start to exercise your body and you ignore the pain. He says this, just disregard its demands. The pain doesn't mean anything serious. As your mind reorients its beliefs, the pain will lessen. Once that happens, you'll be able to rebuild your body. It won't be easy or quick or without setbacks. The muscles in your low back are at 30% of their normal tone. Your ligaments and tendons are contracted from lack of use. They carry a memory of the trauma done to you, and they recall the pain at the slightest provocation. By using your spine, muscles, and ligaments and strengthening them, you erase that memory. You can compensate for the damage that was done and live a normal life again. Well, he had his doubts, but he decided to trust the doctor, and he started to ignore his pain. He went to rehab. He went and did the therapy, and it was tough. It was painful. He didn't have a false hope. He knew what he was facing. It was difficult. It was painful, but his pain started to lessen. And as he started to increase his physical activity and push himself a little bit, the pain would rear its head again. But then after a while, as he got stronger, it would lessen until a little over a year later, his pain was gone. He could live his life the way he wanted to live, and during that time when the pain would rear its ugly head, he would have doubts about what this doctor said, but he would remember what the doctor said, and he would project himself thinking about, if he could be well, and when he's well, he'll be able to travel again. He saw himself getting off the plane strong and ready to take in the new sights of traveling. He saw himself being able to do the European dances with his family. He saw himself being able to walk down to the pond with his daughter and a mile down the road or so. And that, he said, when he did that, he felt like a warm energy moving through his body, and it helped lessen the pain, and he felt renewed hope and enthusiasm. And I'm not saying that we should ignore our pain like him. His was a unique case. He went to a specialist. The specialist checked him out and said, you can ignore that pain. But my point is this. Groupman wanted to live. Groupman wanted to get better. Groupman had things he wanted to do in his life. And that fueled his desire to get better. He wanted to be free of the pain. And with the doctor's help, he started to see himself differently. He saw a new possibility. He no longer had excuses and was no longer hopeless. He had some hope. And that's the point that Groupman makes over and over, is that if there's a little bit of chance that you can be healed of something, there's hope. And believe it. Know the challenges, know the obstacles. No, it might be really hard. It may be a real hard course to follow, but there's hope. You can be healed. There's hope. Yeah, because illnesses, he says illnesses and treatments of cancer and various things, there's uncertainty in it. There's a bit of mystery, which means there's always a little bit of hope, at least, and a possibility of being healed. Like Myrtle, you're a child of God. You don't inherit sickness. You're a child of God. You don't inherit whatever it is, the challenge that we're facing. I'm not saying that DNA doesn't have an impact. I'm not saying the environment doesn't have an impact. All those things do have an impact. But ultimately, we're spiritual beings. Ultimately, within us is a source of peace, a source of life, a source of joy that we can rely on and we can turn to. We can have positive faith and expectancy in. So I invite you to join me in taking a look and observing what are our attitudes about areas of our life. Are we like that man by the pool who's got it making excuses? No one will help me into the pool. I don't have enough time. I'm too old. In a time like this, what can I expect? There go my dreams. I'm too young, whatever the excuse is. Let's notice them. Let's be aware of them and consider other possibilities, that I'm a child of God, and therefore I don't have to live with this excuse. I can find other possibilities. I can start to see other potential for myself, like Rootman. I can visualize what it is that I want to do with my life and be helpful and have that enthusiasm for life and for living and for possibilities. And so that I can let go of the excuses and replace them with positive excuses. I'm a child of God. I can succeed. I'm a child of God. I can overcome this situation, whether it's an addiction or a habit pattern or some kind of a weakness. As a child of God, I can. It's been said, I am, I can, and I will. I am a child of God. Therefore, I can. And so, I will. You are, you can, and you will.
Everything turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, 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 and a time to every purpose under heaven. A time to be born, a time to die, a time to plant, a time to reap, a time to kill, a time to heal, a time to laugh, time to weep, a time to build up, a time to break down, a time to dance, a time to mourn, a time to cast away stones, a time to gather stones together. To everything, turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, 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 and a time to every purpose under heaven. A time to gain, a time to lose, a time to rend, a time to sow, a time for love, a time for hate, a time for peace. I swear it's not too late. To everything, turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, 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 and a time to every purpose under heaven.
Thank you, Dennis, for that wonderful song. And thank you also, John and Jai, for being part of this service. It was awesome having all of you help bring inspiration to us today. And I'd like us to go forth today now, see yourself as that child of God who is empowered by the source within you. That it's up to you to take up your bed and walk. It's up to us to call on that power that's within us, to notice the reasons that might be holding us back, and to go forward knowing Spirit is expressing in and as me. I have the source of power and the source of strength, and with God, all things are possible for me. And so it is. Amen. please join me in praying the prayer for protection. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is. And all is well. Yea, God. And now we're going to sing the peace song and affirm the truth that peace begins with us, just like healing. You know, as you and I heal ourselves, as you and I take responsibility for our lives to be more peaceful, then the more of us that do that, the more we help to heal our society and our planet. So please join me now in singing, Let There Be Peace on Earth.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God as creator, family are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with